For complex grooms, it is typical to have many operators inside the operator stack that provide various effects for your hair. However, if you stack too many operators on top of each other, for example, if you have one frizz operator and then another frizz operator on top, and then maybe you have curling or something else, then even producing very small input changes to the original guides or hair can have a big effect on the last operator in your stack. This is evident here because I have two operators that are frizz, and at the bottom I have one noise operator, and the noise operator just does some very minor changes to my hair. But the frizz operator that is at the very top is producing very fine details, so it's freezing with high frequency. And if I move my strands, you can see some jittering and popping appear inside my hairs. This is especially problematic if you have animated hair and you want to have the procedural nature of the stack preserved by having all the operators still within it. The main reason that this issue appears is that each operator provides different changes in the strand space of each strand, and these changes add up, and sometimes they add up too much and cause the small changes in the input to be very noticeable in the output. So the output becomes very sensitive to the input. If I turn off this frizz operator over here, you can see that the high frequency changes are gone and we no longer get as much popping, but you can still see that the hairs are kind of changing too much, more so than is probably desired. In Ornatrix version 4 beta for Maya, we have a new option in many of these procedural operators called change caching. When this option is off, the behavior is as it was before, so the operator just gets applied on each single evaluation, but you can turn this option on to kind of lock in the changes that this operator does. As soon as I do that, you see that the popping is no longer there, and the changes are applied in object space rather than being created on each individual evaluation of the operator. There are two options here. One is called stored, and if you select this option, then the changes made by the operator to the hair are stored inside your Maya file. So this may increase the size of your Maya file, but this will guarantee that the changes will be there the same way as you applied them, even if you reload the scene on a different computer and a different frame. There is another option called Precomputed, which will pre-compute the changes on the first frame of evaluation. So whenever you load the scene the first time, it will compute the changes and store them, but it will not store them with the scene file, which means the scene file will be very small. But if you open the scene on a different frame from what it was evaluated when it was initially saved, you may get slightly different results. Regardless of the option that you choose here, you can still go and modify the operator's values, such as amount here that I'm modifying, and it will recalculate all the changes. So you don't need to worry about having to modify this option if you want to make small changes to the operator's behavior. You can do this on both operators. So I set the change caching to stored here, but this previous frizz operator still evaluates at every frame. I can also store its changes, and if I do so, you can see that now we get very smooth, very predictable results. No longer we have any popping or jittering happening in any of the strands, and this will work really well if you have animated hair, while at the same time allowing you to create changes to the operators. So you see they're still procedural, still modifiable, and to be able to store and pass this file on to other departments inside your studio.